Please consider supporting the channel on Patreon. It's how I pay my bills and keep the lights on. And you'll also unlock exclusive content if you go for the exclusive content club tier or higher. Live streams with me, that kind of thing. Last week I put out calls for assumptions and I got a lot of interesting assumptions, but there was one that has lived in my head rent-free since the minute that I read it, and I needed to do an entire video dedicated to it. You are girlier than you let on. This is such an interesting sentence. I'm gonna need to put my tea down for this one. So firstly, there will be a discussion of girly things in this video. I'll need to lean into some gender stereotypes in order to fully dissect this. Secondly, this is about me and my perception of gender, so it is not prescriptive. I like words. And lastly, I would like to acknowledge that I, anyway, accept that gender is a social construct. And that's not to invalidate it or minimize the impact it has on any of our lives, but just to acknowledge that it is shaped by your environment, the society you grew up in, the home you came from, etc., etc. So I want to first discuss my gender expression and what I feel shaped it. And then I want to discuss your perception of my gender presentation, because the two are totally different things, and I think that's really interesting. I feel like this meme right about now. Gender identity. I also want to touch on the language used in the assumption, because let on is a very Irish expression, and so when I read that, it reads to me like you are girlier than you allow others to perceive. That implies to me then that I am choosing to portray this like masculine version of myself to the world, and that I want to get into that as well. First and foremost, we probably need to talk about what is girliness. My idea of girly could be totally different to someone else's idea of girly, but for the sake of this video and for the sake of us all being on the same page, let's just assume that girliness is like an interest in or participation in not burping on camera, traditionally feminine activities. So when I was 1 year old, my parents separated and my mother moved with me back to Mayo, where her family was from. I have one brother who is 11 years older than me, and because he was that bit older, he decided to stay with my dad rather than move 4 hours away from where he grew up. You might assume that because I grew up in a household with just me and my mom, so two women, that I would be super girly or super feminine. However, my mom did not place any value on any of the things considered girly, and because it was just me and her living in the house together as well, she fulfilled both my parental roles in that household. And personally, she wasn't interested in makeup or fashion or any of that shit. An important thing to know is that when I was growing up, I actually got a lot of hand-me-downs from my 11-year older brother. So it was a lot of like Adidas tracksuits, Sega Mega Drives, Lego sets. Like I grew up with a lot of boys' toys. I also did have Barbies, like my mom bought me Barbies or whatever, and I used to make them scissor like every other girl in the world. I do feel, looking back, like my childhood was wonderfully open and I wasn't limited in what I was allowed to like. The really interesting thing that I notice is that I've noticed that in pictures that I expressed myself as a kid the same way that I express myself now, which is through matching. I've found a couple of photos of myself in this dark Adidas tracksuit with neon green stripes, and I had neon green runners to match. And I know that my mother did not choose those for me because she hated that colour and hated those runners. When I got older, I was way more influenced by my group of friends. All through kind of late primary school, early secondary school, the fashion was to wear the GAA jersey with O'Neill's tracksuit bottoms and Nike Air Max. So again, not a particularly, I suppose, girly or feminine style, but it was all the rage and everyone was wearing it. In secondary school, I didn't wear makeup to school, but that was simply because of time. My entire beauty regime really when I was in secondary school was wet hair, curled eyelashes and lip gloss. That was like, those were like my three things. I did go through periods of straightening my hair with an iron before straighteners became a thing. Yes, that is embarrassingly true. Burned my neck a couple of times, had to hide it as if it was a hickey. I did go through a pink phase, I think in early college, because I was copying a friend who really loved pink and like didn't give a fuck who had anything to say about it. All throughout my life I have gone through these phases, or I've copied people that I've really admired. I think a lot of my style now, and we can get into this later if you want, but a lot of my style now is actually influenced by Alex. Like, I'm bad for copying stuff, but I'm trying to emulate people that I think are fucking so cool. I read a tweet before that was like, yo, you're not like other girls. And it's like, sorry, my dude, I'm actually an amalgamation of every fucking girl I ever thought was cool. And that is so true. That's me. That's me. And now we start to get into perception. So why certain expressions are chosen versus how those expressions are perceived. So take my nails, for example. Growing up, I was a terrible nail biter. My nails were always bitten right down to the quick, Is it called the quick on humans? My nails would bleed. It was fucking disgusting. And my mother used to give out to me, but sorry, who was like copying when I started biting my nails? Ma'am? And she'd be like, I don't bite the nails, I bite the skin around the nail. It's like, both of our hands are bleeding. So I never got into doing my nails because I didn't have any nails to do. So then I got a bit older and I started to make a real big effort to stop biting my nails. But right around that time, I discovered sport. And you can't have long nails when you're playing, or at least I can't have long nails when I'm playing sport because I play a sport called tag rugby. And what that means is you're reaching for a tag that is attached to somebody's hip. And if you pull the tag off, they have to stop and play has to restart. But if you go for the tag and you like miss it, or your nails get caught in their top or their shorts, you can not only break a nail, but as I found out the hard way more than once, you can break a finger. So I keep my nails short when I'm playing tag rugby. Now in lockdown, I've had the opportunity to let my nails grow. These are the longest I think my nails have ever been. I've started to buy nail varnish. I do like them, but when sport comes back again, I will absolutely cut them short again because sport is more important to me. And I do think that that will factor into how girly I present, because I do think that long nails are considered feminine or girly and short nails aren't, even if it's a decision made on necessity. I also think though, and let's get back into this meme, I also think it is to do with the perception of people that play sport. I feel like I have always expressed myself, even through my sports clothes, in mad designs, but for some reason, they're still not considered girly. I wonder if it's partly because I'm playing a non-contact form of rugby, and maybe rugby is considered a very masculine game, and therefore by association, the non-contact versions of it are also considered masculine games, or is it because it's like a muddy sport even? It does seem to me that functional clothing is not typically perceived as feminine. I recently ordered some of those seamless workout kits that are in fashion, and they seem to be perceived as girly or feminine, even though in comparison the skins products that I would buy for tag rugby were way brighter, way more vibrant, way more patterned, and yet for some reason I don't think they're perceived as girly. Is it simply because they're actually more functional? I don't know, man. Gender perception is weird. I also go through phases of how I want to express myself. So, for example, at the end of 2017, my hair was really long, really damaged. I saw a photo of it and I was like, bleh. I went to cut it off. And then I loved the short hair so much, how I looked, how it made me feel, how easy it was to manage. I loved it so much that I kept it for 3 straight years. Last year I decided I wanted to stop dyeing my hair, so I started to let my hair grow out. And in lockdown this year, I stopped cutting it because I couldn't get a cut. But I actually really like it now. I'm really enjoying having long hair. Like, it does feel very hot here now, to be honest with you, and I'm kind of sweating. It really blew up today after I brushed it by mistake. But I like having it. I'm plaiting it, I'm messing around with it, I'm finger curling it, I'm putting it in ponytails, and I'm having a good time at the minute with the long hair. I do feel like I'm going to get annoyed and cut it off soon though. And so, the more that I think about this comment, the more I realise that actually my gender presentation in lockdown is way more stereotypically girly than it was outside of lockdown. Look at me, long nails. Like, I'm doing makeup more often because there's nothing else to be fucking doing. Messing with my hair because there's nothing else to be doing. I've got long, luscious locks. That's really weird, isn't it? That my gender presentation has fucking totally changed. And actually, the more you investigate that, you realise that's a time thing. And so when we get out of lockdown, I imagine that my gender presentation will become a little less traditionally or stereotypically feminine, because I cut my nails short, might cut my hair off if it annoys me too much, probably won't do my makeup as often. I don't know, but I think a really important part of this, the more I think about it, was that around the time that I cut the hair shorter, I really got into androgynous fashion. That might be an overstatement, but I basically didn't want to wear dresses anymore. I was like, do you know what I really like? Trousers. The more I think about this, the more I'm like, is that a big part of why I'm not considered feminine? Because I went through a fashion phase of not wearing skirts. And I've never really got back into the skirts. Well, not that I've had a fucking opportunity the last year to dress up for anything, but it's all a period of experimentation. I know I'm 32 years old, but like, surely I can still experiment. I never think twice about it. Every time I kind of like adopt a new style or get into a new thing, like now I'm into Galaxy or I'm into unicorns or whatever else, I just fully commit. It's just so funny because I just feel like that some of the quintessential things that make me me are traditionally considered girly. When I was a teenager, lip gloss was my favorite thing in the world. Do you remember the tube, the Rimmel? Oh my God, Royal something. It was iconic when I was in secondary school. I love stationery. Typically brightly coloured or fun stationery is considered girly. The other day, I was in a computer shop and I bought a pink mouse. The man in the shop did not shut up from the minute he saw me. Do you like pink, do you? Lots of women now buy that colour. No men buy that colour now. You know, men, we like black and blue. And I was like, I also like blue. And he's like, oh no, I'm just saying. They might be at Christmas. Do you know what I'm saying? They might be at Christmas. Like, okay, I get it. Like, if you want to like pink, man, you can just like pink. You don't have to overcompensate. Oh my God, who would buy that colour? Men don't like that colour. Just buy the pink mouse, man, if that's what you want. You fucking own the shop. You better be taken home for free. I also cry all the fucking time. I cry when I'm happy, I cry when I'm sad, when I'm feeling the love, when I'm feeling the hate, and when I literally watch anything on television. Anything. Ads get me all the time. The other day, Alex and I were watching my new favourite Amazon Prime show. It's called The Pack. It's unreal. It's an adventure race for dogs. At one point, they just mentioned that they've donated money to a dog charity, and I'm like, bawling. And so what is it about me that people think is not girly? Like, I've listed quite a lot of stereotypically girly things that I like and that I enjoy and that I partake in. So I feel like I'm presenting as girly, but why am I not being perceived as girly? Is it because of my career? I have a background in journalism, through which I've worked as a camera person, a producer, all very male-dominated careers and roles. Is it because I started in content creation making comedy sketch videos? Again, comedy, traditionally male-dominated, considered or perceived to be quite a masculine pursuit. Is that why? Is it because I play sport? You know, what is it? Just to finish it off and come back to the language used, it was like, you are girlier than you let on. So let on to me would imply that I hide it. How am I hiding my girliness? You know? What am I doing that's making people perceive me as more masculine than I feel that I am? You know? Is it because I don't make content about makeup or hair or stuff like that? Although I have made videos about fashion. I've also done trending stuff that came from the beauty community, like my boyfriend does my voiceover. So that can't be it either. So it's like, what? I've totally lost my train of thought at this point. I don't know which way is up. But yeah, I just thought that was a really interesting assumption. Like, you are girlier than you let on. Tells me so much. Tells me that there is a perception that I'm not girly, but also that there's kind of an assumption that I am, but I'm hiding it. Yeah, I just thought that was one of the most interesting assumptions that I got in the whole thing. When you really dig down into it, one of the most interesting sentences ever. Is that too far? That's too far. Okay, I'm too deep down the rabbit hole now. Okay. I just think that I am doing my best to keep on. And yeah, I don't know, man. I am as girly as I am, you know? And I don't know how girly I appear, but I'm not letting it on purpose. How about that? If you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching this ramblings of a mad woman. If you like this video, please like it. It really helps me out in the algorithm. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Check out all the other videos I mentioned in this video. Give me that watch time, baby. And be girlier, or don't. I don't care.